The Quantum Gambit. Admiral Rana Patel stood motionless before the primary viewport of the EFS Starcaller, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched the enemy fleet materialize. The Nexari invasion force emerged from hyperspace like a storm of metallic locusts, their crystalline ships refracting starlight in prismatic patterns across the void. "Contact count?" she asked, her voice carrying the weight of 23 years of military service. Lieutenant Jae-sun Kim's fingers danced across his holographic interface. 2,817 vessels, Admiral. Their smallest ship-out masses are largest by a factor of 5. Reyna allowed herself a slight nod, maintaining her composure despite the odds. Earth's defense fleet consisted of merely 42 ships, each retrofitted with technology that most of the scientific community had deemed impossible just 18 months ago. "Message from the Nexari command ship," announced Communications Officer Dmitry Volkov, his usual jovial demeanor replaced by professional tension. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." "Display," Reyna ordered, straightening her midnight blue uniform. The holographic screen materialized, revealing High Commander Xyrix of the Nexari Dominion. Like all Nexari, they resembled a bizarre fusion of crystalline structure and organic matter, with fractal patterns shifting across their translucent form. "Humans of Earth," Xyrix's voice resonated through the bridge, mechanical translators converting their harmonic speech into understandable language. "Your species has been monitored, evaluated, and found wanting. Your technological advancement rate threatens the stability of this sector. Surrender now, and we will preserve a portion of your population for study. Resist, and we will reduce your world to its constituent atoms." Reyna studied the alien commander, noting the subtle shifts in their crystalline structure, a sign of absolute certainty in their superiority. She opened a secure channel to the research bay. "Dr. Rashid, status of the quantum displacement system?" "All systems nominal, Admiral," Dr. Amara Rashid responded, her voice carrying both excitement and apprehension. "The Q field is stable across all vessels. We're ready to execute Project Mirage." Reyna allowed herself a small smile. The Nexari, for all their advanced technology, had never encountered a species quite like humanity, a species that had learned to weaponize quantum uncertainty itself. "Fleet-wide broadcast," she commanded, and waited for Volkov's confirmation nod. "All ships, this is Admiral Patel. Initialize QDS drives and prepare for Operation Ghostlight. Remember your training, trust in the technology, and most importantly." She paused, making sure her next words carried weight. "Remember that humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to rewrite the rules of what's possible." She returned her attention to the Nexari transmission. "High Commander Xyrix, I am Admiral Reyna Patel of the Earth Defense Fleet. We must respectfully decline your offer. However, since you've traveled so far, perhaps we can provide a demonstration of why you shouldn't judge human capabilities by conventional metrics." The Nexari commander's crystalline form flickered with what might have been amusement. "Your bravado is noted, Admiral. But it changes nothing. Your fleet is insignificant. Your technology is primitive. Your extinction is inevitable." "Numbers can be deceiving, High Commander," Reyna replied, her voice steady. "Sometimes the question isn't how many ships you have, but rather, how many realities they can exist in simultaneously." She nodded to her tactical officer. "All ships, execute Mirage Protocol Alpha. Let's show our visitors why humans are the only species crazy enough to turn Schrödinger's cat into a weapon of war." In the research bay, Dr. Rashid watched as quantum probability fields began to fluctuate around their ships. The mathematics had seemed impossible until they discovered that quantum uncertainty could be controlled, manipulated, and weaponized at a macroscopic scale. As the Nexari fleet launched their first volley of energy weapons, 42 human ships prepared to make history. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity's greatest disadvantage, their small fleet, was about to become their greatest strength. Echoes of defiance. High Commander Xyrix watched in disbelief as their fleet's initial barrage passed harmlessly through the human vessels. Where primitive shields should have failed, where ships should have shattered, there was instead, nothing. As if the targets weren't fully present in reality itself. Battle analysis. Xyrix demanded, their crystalline form pulsing with agitation. Impossible readings, High Commander, the sensor chief reported, their fractal patterns shifting in confusion. The human vessels appear to be, fluctuating between states of existence. Our targeting systems cannot maintain lock. Aboard the EFS Starcaller, Dr. Rashid's voice crackled through the neural link. Admiral, the quantum field coherence is at 98% and holding. Each ship is successfully maintaining quantum superposition across multiple probability states. Admiral Patel watched her tactical display as 42 ships became seemingly hundreds, each vessel leaving quantum echoes in its wake. The empty space around Earth's defenders transformed into a maze of probability shadows, each one partially real and equally capable of affecting the physical world. Execute attack pattern Wraith, Patel ordered. Show them what happens when you combine human ingenuity with quantum mechanics. The Earth fleet split into complex formations, each ship existing simultaneously in multiple positions. To the Nexary sensors, it appeared as if they faced not dozens, but hundreds of vessels, each one shifting between states of reality faster than their targeting computers could process. In the research bay, Dr. Rashid made a startling discovery. Admiral, the quantum fields are harmonizing between ships. We're seeing cascade effects in local spacetime, and something else. The probability matrices are becoming self-sustaining. The visual effect was mesmerizing. As human ships danced through quantum states, they left ripples in the fabric of reality. These distortions began to interact, creating patterns that confused both sensors and organic eyes alike. The space around Earth's defenders became a kaleidoscope of quantum possibilities made manifest. High Commander Xyrix's flagship shuddered as a human vessel phased into existence mere kilometers from their port side, unleashed a devastating broadside, and vanished before their point defense systems could respond. Throughout the Nexary fleet, similar scenes played out as Earth's defenders struck from impossible angles, existing everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. This violates fundamental laws of reality. Xyrix raged, their crystalline form crackling with energy. No species has achieved quantum manipulation at this scale. Multiple Nexary vessels reporting critical system failures, Lieutenant Kim announced on the Starcaller's bridge. Their targeting systems are overloading trying to track our quantum states. Admiral Patel allowed herself a grim smile. That's what happens when you build your entire tactical doctrine around predictability and certainty. Initiate Mirage Protocol Beta. Let's push the boundaries even further. The quantum field effects intensified. Now each human ship maintained not just 3 or 4 probability states, but dozens simultaneously. The space around Earth's defenders became a storm of quantum possibilities, with vessels appearing and disappearing faster than light itself could reveal their positions. Dr. Rashid's voice carried barely contained excitement. Admiral, we're seeing something unprecedented. The quantum fields aren't just affecting our ships anymore. They're beginning to influence the local fabric of spacetime itself. The Nexary fleet, they're starting to experience temporal distortion effects. Indeed, the crystalline ships closest to the quantum distortions began to experience time differently than those at the fleet's edges. Coordinated maneuvers became impossible as seconds stretched into minutes for some ships while compressing into milliseconds for others. Impossible, Xyrix whispered, watching their perfectly coordinated fleet fall into chaos. This technology, it defies everything we know about quantum mechanics. That's humanity's greatest strength, Admiral Patel responded over an open channel. We don't just push boundaries, we shatter them. We turn theoretical physics into practical weapons. We make the impossible not just possible, but probable. The battle continued to evolve as Earth's defenders pushed their quantum advantage. The Nexary's superior numbers meant nothing when they couldn't predict where or when their targets would materialize. Their advanced weapons were useless against ships that could choose which reality to exist in at any given moment. In the research bay, Dr. Rashid monitored the quantum readings with growing amazement. The technology they had created was exceeding every prediction, every simulation. Humanity had not just mastered quantum uncertainty, they had turned it into an art form. The tide of battle had turned, and the Nexary were about to learn that sometimes the smallest fleet could cast the largest shadow, especially when that shadow existed in multiple realities at once. Through the veil. The space around Earth's defensive line had become a quantum storm. Dr. Rashid's calculations displayed across her neural interface as she monitored the escalating phenomenon from the Starcaller's research bay. What they'd created wasn't just a weapon or a defense system, it was a revolution in physics itself. "Admiral," she called through the secure channel, "the quantum cascade is achieving critical resonance. The probability matrices are self-sustaining and evolving." On the bridge, Admiral Patel watched as the Nexary fleet struggled to maintain formation. Their crystalline ships, beautiful in their geometric precision, now moved like drunk dancers as quantum distortions warped the space around them. Multiple Nexary vessels reporting temporal desynchronization, Lieutenant Kim reported. "Their fleet coordination is breaking down completely." Through the quantum haze, High Commander Xyrix's voice crackled across the communications channel. "What manner of abomination have you created? This violates the fundamental laws of causality." "You're assuming causality is a law rather than a suggestion," Patel responded, her voice calm. "All ships, execute Mirage Protocol Gamma. Let's show them what happens when we really push the envelope." The 42 human vessels began a new dance, more complex than before. Each ship now existed in a constant state of quantum flux, their probability shadows weaving together into patterns that defied comprehension. The effect rippled outward, creating zones where reality itself became negotiable. In the research bay, Dr. Rashid's eyes widened as new data flooded her displays. "Admiral, we're seeing something extraordinary. The quantum fields aren't just affecting local space anymore, they're creating temporary bubbles of altered physics. The Nexary ships caught in these zones, they're experiencing different fundamental constants. The effect was devastating. Nexary vessels caught in these quantum bubbles found their advanced technology behaving unpredictably. Energy weapons fired with different wavelengths than intended. Shield harmonics fluctuated wildly. Even their crystalline hull structures began to resonate at frequencies they were never designed to handle. Tactical analysis, Xyrix demanded, their crystalline form flickering with increasing instability. "How are they achieving this level of quantum manipulation?" "Unknown, High Commander," their science officer responded. "Their technology appears to be writing new rules of physics locally. Our models cannot predict their behavior because they're operating outside the bounds of known science." Admiral Patel opened a fleet-wide channel. "All ships, concentrate your quantum fields on designated targets. Let's show them what happens when humanity decides to improvise." The Earth fleet moved with practiced precision, their quantum shadows converging on key points in the Nexary formation. Where multiple probability fields intersected, reality itself seemed to hiccup. Nexary ships caught in these convergence points found themselves experiencing multiple timelines simultaneously, their crews unable to determine which actions had already happened and which were yet to occur. "This is a violation of natural law." Xyrix broadcasted, their usual harmonic tones distorted by rage and fear. "You cannot simply rewrite the rules of reality." "That's where you're wrong," Patel replied. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our numbers. It's our refusal to accept limitations. When reality doesn't accommodate our needs, we don't give up, we change reality itself." Dr. Rashid's voice cut through the command channel. "Admiral, the quantum resonance is achieving something unprecedented. The probability fields are starting to affect quantum entanglement at a macro scale. We're seeing signs of well, the only way I can describe it is, reality bleed. The effect was visible now even to unaugmented eyes. Where human ships passed, they left trails of quantum possibility, like tears in the fabric of spacetime. These tears began to interact, creating a web of altered reality that spread through the Nexary fleet like a virus. Crystalline ships began to phase in and out of sync with normal spacetime. Some appeared to move backward in time, others forward. Some existed in multiple states simultaneously, their crews experiencing dozens of possible outcomes at once. The mighty Nexary armada, which had arrived with such overwhelming force, was being undone not by superior numbers or firepower, but by humanity's willingness to break the very rules that governed the universe. Probabilities dance. In the heart of the quantum maelstrom, the laws of physics had become more suggestion than rule. The Nexary fleet, once a perfect crystalline formation, now resembled a shattered mirror, each fragment reflecting a different version of reality. Their command and control structure is collapsing, Lieutenant Kim reported, his hands steady despite the chaos displayed across his tactical screens. The quantum distortions are preventing any coordinated response. Admiral Patel nodded, watching as another group of Nexary ships fell into temporal disarray. Dr. Rashid, what's the status of the quantum field harmonics? The field effects have become self-sustaining, Rashid responded, her voice filled with controlled excitement. Each probability matrix is generating cascading resonances that. Admiral, you need to see this. The quantum fields aren't just affecting space anymore, they're beginning to influence probability itself. On the main view screen, the effects were becoming visible to the naked eye. Where human ships passed, reality seemed to ripple and fold, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. The Nexary vessels caught in these distortions began experiencing what could only be described as probability storms. Multiple Nexary ships reporting critical systems failure, Kim announced. Their probability matrices are fragmenting. Each vessel is experiencing multiple timelines simultaneously. High Commander Xyrix's voice cut through the chaos, their usually harmonic tones distorted by static and quantum interference. This is madness. You're tearing apart the fabric of causality itself. Interesting choice of words, Patel responded, her voice steady. All ships, execute Mirage Protocol Delta. Let's show them what happens when we embrace the chaos. The 42 Earth vessels began a new formation, their quantum shadows weaving together into impossible geometric patterns. Where these patterns intersected, reality itself seemed to hiccup and stutter, creating zones where probability became fluid and malleable. In these zones, Nexary ships found themselves experiencing all possible outcomes simultaneously. Weapons fired and didn't fire. Shields failed and held. Ships were destroyed and intact, all at once, until probability collapsed into a single devastating result. Admiral, Dr. Rashid's voice carried an urgent tone, the quantum resonance is achieving critical mass. The probability fields are beginning to affect quantum entanglement on a macroscopic scale. We're seeing reality loops forming. The effect was unprecedented. Nexary vessels caught in these loops began experiencing the same moments repeatedly, each iteration slightly different as probability fluctuated around them. Some ships appeared to move backward through time, their actions reversed and scrambled by the quantum distortions. Fascinating, Rashid muttered through the neural link. The quantum fields aren't just affecting local spacetime anymore, they're creating temporary bubbles where the fundamental constants of the universe become variable. The Nexary ships caught in these zones, their very atomic structure is becoming uncertain. The crystalline hulls of the alien vessels began to display impossible behaviors. Some became transparent to certain wavelengths of light while remaining solid to others. Others seemed to exist in multiple structural configurations simultaneously, their geometric patterns shifting and flowing like liquid crystal. This defies all known laws of physics. Xyrix broadcasted, their voice fracturing across multiple probability states. Your species cannot be allowed to possess this level of reality manipulation. That's the problem with your species, Patel responded, watching as another section of the Nexary fleet fell into quantum chaos. You see the laws of physics as absolute barriers. We see them as challenges to overcome. All ships, prepare for final phase. Let's show them what happens when we really push the boundaries of possibility. The Earth fleet began its final maneuver, their quantum shadows converging into a pattern that resembled a massive fractal, each iteration spawning new possibilities and probability cascades. The space around them became a kaleidoscope of quantum potential, where reality itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what impossible thing would happen next. Beyond the impossible. The battle zone had transformed into something that defied conventional physics. The quantum storm generated by Earth's fleet had turned local space into a realm where probability itself had become fluid, where cause and effect danced in impossible patterns. High Commander, Xyrix's second-in-command reported, their crystalline form flickering with distress, "We've lost contact with 30% of the fleet. The quantum distortions, they're spreading faster than we can adapt." Admiral Patel watched the tactical display as the massive Nexary fleet began to fragment. Not through conventional destruction, but through probability cascade failures that caused entire ships to phase between states of existence. "Dr. Rashid," she called through the neural link, "status of the quantum field integrity?" "The fields have achieved something remarkable," Rashid responded, her voice trembling with barely contained excitement. "They're self-sustaining now, but more than that, they're evolving. The probability matrices are generating new patterns we never predicted. It's as if the quantum uncertainty itself has become creative." The space between the fleets had become a twisted gallery of reality distortions. Human ships moved through the chaos with practiced precision, their quantum shadows leaving trails that bent probability itself. The Nexary vessels, caught in these probability waves, began experiencing multiple timelines simultaneously. "Impossible readings from the Nexary flagship," Lieutenant Kim reported. "Their primary systems are experiencing temporal recursion. They exist in multiple states of operation simultaneously." Through the quantum haze, Xyrix's final transmission cut across all frequencies, "Stop this madness. You cannot comprehend the forces you're unleashing." "That's humanity's true advantage," Patel responded, her voice carrying across the probability storm. "We don't need to comprehend something completely to use it effectively. We adapt, we improvise, and we overcome. All ships, execute final phase of Operation Ghostlight." The 42 Earth vessels moved in perfect synchronization, their quantum fields merging into a single, massive probability matrix. The effect was beyond anything their simulations had predicted. Space itself seemed to fold and unfold, creating patterns that existed in more dimensions than human eyes could process. "Admiral," Rashid's voice held a note of awe, "the quantum cascade has achieved critical resonance. The probability fields they're rewriting local reality faster than it can stabilize. The Nexary fleet is being caught in a quantum lock." The effect was devastating. The crystalline ships of the Nexary armada found themselves trapped in a state of quantum superposition, existing in multiple states simultaneously until probability itself collapsed around them. Ships vanished and reappeared, their crew experiencing countless possible outcomes until reality settled on the most devastating one. "Fleet status," Patel commanded, watching as the quantum storm reached its peak. 70% of the Nexary fleet has been neutralized, Kim reported. The remaining vessels are attempting to retreat, but the quantum distortions are preventing coherent FTL calculations. In the research bay, Dr. Rashid's instruments recorded something unprecedented. "Admiral, the quantum fields have achieved something we never thought possible. They're not just affecting probability anymore, they're creating stable zones of altered physics. The implications for science, for humanity." "Send the final message," Patel ordered, straightening her uniform. The transmission cut through the quantum chaos to reach what remained of the Nexary fleet. "This is Admiral Patel of Earth. What you've witnessed today is just the beginning of humanity's understanding of quantum manipulation. Remember this, We didn't just bend the rules of reality, we proved they were never rules at all, just guidelines waiting to be rewritten. Retreat now, and spread the word, Earth is not to be underestimated. The remaining Nexary ships, those that could still achieve FTL, began to disappear into hyperspace, leaving behind a graveyard of probability shadows and quantum echoes. The defense of Earth had succeeded not through overwhelming force, but through humanity's unique ability to turn theoretical physics into practical weapons of war. As the quantum storm began to dissipate, Admiral Patel allowed herself a small smile. They had done more than win a battle, they had changed the very nature of space combat forever. The universe would never be quite the same, and humanity had proven once again that their greatest strength lay not in their numbers or their technology, but in their relentless drive to push beyond the impossible. The stars twinkled through the fading quantum distortions, bearing witness to a new chapter in human history, one where the laws of physics themselves had become tools in humanity's arsenal, and where the impossible had become just another challenge to overcome.